Whew. Tempo run versus a long run or a non-tempo run. That's what we're diving into today. So I have my handy dandy whiteboard here with a couple notes on it to kind of help keep me in line in this conversation. So first, I want to define tempo and pace because I will be using both of these words quite a bit in this video. And a tempo is a rate or a speed at which something is done, and a pace is a consistent, continuous speed. Now, those words are really, really similar and pretty interchangeable at most times, right? So just so you know, for the purpose of this video is they're basically the same thing. It's just you can call it a tempo run, you can call it a paced run, you can pretty much interchange the two in this video, okay? So let's start in with what is a tempo run. So a tempo run can be a plethora of things. And basically all we're doing in a tempo run is determining a pace at which we want one section of the run to either be faster or slower than the other. So basically we're alternating speeds intentionally. And it is intentionally that is extremely important in this video. And the intentionality is what makes tempo versus long run very different. So a couple examples I have are these two runs. So I've done both of these two runs. So this is a great example and something that I can explain, right? So my first example is essentially what I did today. So I did a 30-minute run that was paced or tempoed at a certain part. So the first mile was going to be slow and steady, a nice, relaxed, and controlled pace. And then the second mile, I was going to gradually increase and then plateau out at the fastest point, right? I was going to sustain that for 2 to 5 minutes. Then after I moved to the fastest pace for those 2 to 5 minutes, I was going to slow back down and continue the rest of my run at the slower pace that I had done previously. So again, I was very intentional with what and when and how fast I was doing things. The second example is a workout that I did last week, which is a tempo 400 meter, what's the word I'm trying to say? Anyways, I changed between a fast 400 and a slow 400. So that is the example here where I had picked a structured pace, and that pace for my fast 400 was going to be a 5K pace. So that means I was moving at the same speed in which I would if I was running a 5K. Now this is important because I'm training for a half marathon. So that means that pace is going to be so much faster than what I'm doing for my half marathon pace, right? Very different speeds. One is fast where I can potentially do like a 10-minute mile, where the other one, that's my 5K, where my half marathon mile is more like 12:30 to 13:30. That's where I'm comfortable. So very different speeds. So again, this exercise, it was a 400 fast, 400 slow, and then back and forth 7 times. So I picked a fast pace for the first 400, then I did a very slow pace for the next, and then I alternated, intentionally staying within about 10 seconds of my fastest or my first 400 meter section. So that is very important because we want to stay within the specified pace or the specified tempo that we have at hand. Whereas your long run, you are not necessarily intentionally changing the pace every mile. Like in the first example, we're not going to speed up for the second mile and then fly through half of it because that's what we're doing. Because for a half marathon, at least for myself, I'm not going to be alternating fast mile, slow mile, fast mile, slow mile. My goal is to stay within a consistent, continuous speed that is the same, which means down here is my example of a 7 mile. Whereas we start out nice and steady, maybe our speed increases a little bit and then we drop it back down and then we level out. All of these are going to play into a factor of where you're running and when you're running, right? What is our pace that way? So your tempo versus your long run or your non-tempoed run, the main difference is intentionality. And we have to understand what we're doing within the workout. So are we speeding up for the first half, slowing down for the second half. What are we doing? But it is a controlled and conscious decision to do that. Whereas with our longer runs, we're spending more time at hopefully the same pace, a 13:30, around a 13:30, or whatever your pace is. So those are the differences between a tempo and a long run. Hopefully, again, it's not clear as mud now. It's a little bit more clear like water. So hopefully you guys have a good day and go and get your training done.